52. Another great week of Flames hockey, and we are here to chat about it. I am your host, Johnny Soap, and alongside me, as always, my friend from FlamesNation.ca, it's Robert Munich. How are we today, Robert?
What's going on? We're doing great, minus the fact Rory Kerins got sent down after 2 games. Are you kidding me? What is going on with this team?
We are definitely going to be diving into that topic and a lot more here on this episode of the Red Mile Rundown. Thank you, everyone, for making us part of your podcast rotation. Appreciate all the downloads last week. I really enjoyed that episode. Got a lot of great feedback in my DMs, so appreciate you all for that. The news of the day as we record this on Monday, so just after this news dropped, the Calgary Flames making a roster move this morning. Our good friend Rory Kerins back to the Wranglers, and up comes everyone's favorite Dryden Hunt and his friend Sam Morton. Robert, what did you make of the news?
Well, it's not surprising. For some reason, Ryan Huska is in love with Dryden Hunt. Loves Dryden Hunt. Has nothing but incredible things to say about him. So, you know, I even posted like last week when the Flames were going to call up somebody. I was like, I can almost guarantee it's going to be Dryden Hunt. It was Rory Kerins initially, but now it's Dryden Hunt. But so the way I would break down the sending Rory Kerins to the AHL news is that, to me, that sends a signal that Connor Zary and Zary Sharangovich are going to get opportunities in the top 9. Now that Honzik is hurt, now that you've sent down Rory Kerins, all of a sudden there's 2 roster spots in the top 3 lines for Zary and Sharangovich to take here. So to me, I think they're going to give these guys another look. They're going to give these guys another chance. They're going to try to get them going. And I think what Huska was thinking is, if we're going to try to move these guys into the top 9, then we want Rory Kerins playing on a first line in the American Hockey League instead of a 4th line, or sitting in the press box in the NHL. I think that's where their head is at with this decision. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition or not tomorrow when we see the lines at practice. But that's kind of my gut instinct on what's happened here. How do you feel about the news? I know a lot of Flames fans are not happy about this.
Here's where I come down on it. I don't mind the news of calling up a Sam Morton or a Dryden Hunt. I really don't, because you needed another guy. You had an empty roster spot. You're going on the road for a couple of games. You just need the body around. So I like that side of the move. Where I'm not a big fan of it is why Rory Kerins has to go down to make this all work. You definitely want to give Sharangovich and Zary a look and get them going. You've invested. Both of them got new contracts in the last little while here. Both have been invested in by this organization. They think that these guys are part of the future, so you absolutely want them to go. And I totally agree with it. Where I disagree with all of this is the 4th line. Why does this team think they need a traditional energy 4th line for? You're the bottom of the National Hockey League, 32nd space. Do we really need, and this is going to make people mad, and that's fine, come at me in the DMs if you must. Do we really need 82 games of Ryan Lomberg? Do we really need 82 games of Adam Klapka? Do we really need 82 games of those style of players? Why can we not use that 4th line as a way to keep Rory Kerins in the lineup? What's wrong with for an example, a Adam Klapka with Connor Zary and Rory Kerins' 4th line? You give them a few extra minutes. You still give your big dogs their minutes on special teams. And there's a way to get these guys in the action without having to just cut and dry say, nope, you're not top 9, go down to the American Hockey League. So that's where I kind of disagree with the Flames' usage here of these players a little bit. While I get the move, I kind of want to push back a little bit on it too.
Yeah, and that's been one of our biggest complaints this season is that 4th line. You and I have talked about the 4th line. It seems like every second episode almost. And we both keep saying, why don't they make it a legit line that can go out there and produce some offense, like the Mangiapane Ryan Hathaway line from 2019? Why can't they recreate that on this team? You know, try something like a Kerins, Morton, and Klapka, something like that. Like I think that line could play some decent hockey. I think they could produce a little bit of offense. I'm with you on Ryan Lomberg. The on-ice product that Lomberg's providing right now is just not good enough. He's not an everyday NHL player. He has 1 assist through 20 games this season. He's literally on pace for 0 goals and 4 assists all season. He doesn't do anything out there. He'll throw the odd hit. He'll get in the odd fight, but it's not enough to to keep him in the lineup every single game. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with keeping him on the roster because he is, he's a big time leader in that room.
Mm-hmm.
He's big for energy, and if there's one thing that this team needs, while they're in 32nd place right now, is they need positive energy, and they need a guy to keep the vibes up and all that kind of good stuff. You don't want to go to your workplace and be miserable every single day. A guy like Lomberg is important to this team, but to keep him in the lineup for all 82 games, I just don't think makes any sense. And I would love to hear someone in the media ask Huska, what does Ryan Lomberg provide on the ice to the point where he's in the lineup every single night? Because I don't think it's enough to keep him there. And just one thing I just want to add about Kerins too is Kerins, it feels like Ryan Huska does not like him. He comes up last year, he plays in 5 games, he gets 4 points on a team that's struggling mightily to score goals and create offense, gets immediately shipped back to the AHL. This time, I thought he played well in his first game and against the Sharks, and I thought he was just okay on Saturday. But it wasn't enough to send him to the American Hockey League. To me, he played well enough to continue to get shots to play at the NHL level, but Huska, he's continually said in the media that he as in Roy Kerins struggles to keep up with the pace of the NHL game, and I think that's a big reason why he's headed back down to the American Hockey League here. I just don't think Huska trusts him from a speed perspective, both skating and just like quick decision making, and I don't think Huska thinks he can play good enough defense. So it's kind of like a Solovyov situation where it's clear Huska does not trust Kerins, and it's frustrating because this guy could be a player. He really could, but the Flames aren't giving him a chance to show that he can be. So, yeah, it's very frustrating. Between the fourth line and what they've done with Kerins here, they're kind of head scratching decisions.
I'm going to circle back to Ryan Lomberg in a second here, but I'm not sure if anyone picked up on the snicker I had when you mentioned the word pace and Rory Kerins. It's not like this team plays with a ton of speed in of itself, that Rory Kerins is that far behind the play. Like I laugh at that because if that's the excuse, man, that's pretty poor. That's just making an excuse to have an excuse, in my opinion. That's for Ryan Lomberg. Like, he's a great guy, and those smiles are awesome, and does great social media stuff. He's awesome in the community. He's great in the room, and the team is going to tell you until they're blue in the face that he's part of that leadership group, and they like to have the leaders in it. Well, the leaders have you in 32nd place, so everything should be on the table. Everything should be on the table, and that includes moving Backlund to 4C if you've got to. That includes, they've already done it, but they're splitting up the Huberdeau and Kadri combination. Those things should all be on the table because this is a 32nd team. So much like playing Lomberg every night seems to be, I don't know why, Rory Kerins should be getting those opportunities to be playing every night or playing a lot of nights. If maybe he takes the night off and in Chicago and then plays the Buffalo game to scratch these guys. You're going to give Sharangovich another run, which I don't mind. You're going to give Zary another run, which I don't mind. Put these guys in spots to succeed. And that's fun, all good and dandy, but I think every single player here needs to be able to earn more playing time and earn being in the lineup. So what has Ryan Lomberg done the last 2 games that Rory Kerins has failed to do to not earn the next game? Because that's the message they're sending to Rory Kerins is you were not good enough. You were not better than these 14 forwards to play another game. And that's the message you're sending here by putting him back in the American Hockey League. I think that's the wrong message to send because now you're just going to give Sharangovich back a spot. Well, what does Sharangovich do to earn a spot over Rory Kerins in this lineup? So you got to have a little bit of a reward system and reward these guys coming in here and playing and give them an opportunity to be successful here. You're going to give Ryan Lomberg all the benefit of the doubt when he provides you absolutely nothing. His stat sheet 0, 0, 0. Like, there's zeros and 1 assist on the year. Like, let Kerins have that same opportunity that you're giving Ryan Lomberg. At least make it a fair fight so these guys have an opportunity. Because this treatment of Kerins reminds me a lot of how Sutter treated Peltier. And look where that happened. Sure, Peltier hasn't turned into be this bona fide NHLer in Tampa Bay or Philadelphia, but still the opportunity was never given to the guy, so you never know what's going to happen in your organization. So I think the Flames are failing some of these kids a little bit by putting them back in the American Hockey League or waving a guy like Solovyov off and letting these veterans just come in here and continue to have a roster spot based on and all due respect to Lomberg, based on no merit, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like if this team was in the mix for the playoffs and Ryan Huska, yeah, and Huska genuinely thought that playing some older guys ahead of some of the younger players was going to get them to the playoffs, then okay, I get it. But they're dead last. They are so dead last. Like they're multiple wins away from getting out of dead last. Their points percentage is like 75 points below the next team. They're so far down the standings that now is the time of the year where you start to give those younger players more chances and give them credit for calling up Kerins in the first place. Like, I give them credit for it, but keep them there. Give them 10, 15 games. Mm-hmm. Why are we sending them down after 2? I don't get it. And that's why I go back to, I think Ryan Huska just does not think Kerins is a full-time NHL player. I don't think he likes him because, you know, if he did like him and if he did think that he had potential, then he'd still be up here. Because, like you said, Yegor Sharangovich has been dog shit this year. One of the worst players in the NHL I've watched. I watch a lot of hockey. Sharangovich is literally up there for one of the worst players I've watched this season, just in terms of overall effectiveness. So play a guy like Kerins ahead of him. But now I think we'll probably see it tomorrow. We'll see Sharangovich back in the top 9, and we'll see if he can pull a Matt Coronado and get himself out of a funk and start shooting the puck more. But yeah, it's frustrating because of where this team stands. Like, we want to see young players. Fans want to see the younger guys. They're tired of seeing the veterans. And, you know, the Flames, they clearly don't care about that. All they care about is trying to win the next hockey game. So it's frustrating, man, for sure.
Yeah, and fans share that same sentiment on social media sites. And I know social media is only a portion of the fan base, but you look at the reaction when Sam Honzek went down the last game with injury. The concern across my feed on social media was a lot of people like, damn, he was just starting to play some really good hockey, or Sam Honzek was just coming around. I really like what I saw from him. Like, fans were excited about what Sam Honzek was bringing around. And then you look at Kuznetsov and the way he's been playing lately, and the reaction and the conversations I've had on social media have been, man, he's been really solid in that top 4. Man, he looks really good beside Mackenzie. So fans are looking to watch these kids, and they're excited for these kids. So if you're going to be a garbage, can't win any hockey games team that the Flames have been this year, 32nd place by a mile, they're still excited to watch these games because they're watching guys like Kuznetsov have success, Honzek's having success, how social media explodes when Matt Coronado scores a goal. Fans want to see these kids. You know what the fans don't want to see? And it's all across social media today. Ugh, Dryden Hunt again. Why Hunt? Someone said out there they must have nudes on Husker or something to be in the Hunt every single night. Like, fans do not want to see Dryden Hunt up again. All due respect to what Hunt brings to this organization. He's not even the best player on the Wranglers, and he got the call up. So it's weird how they're using call ups and they're sending these players down, and it doesn't feel like it's based on merit. And that's my biggest complaint of the Flames the last couple of years is I want to defend these coaches and their decisions. And I know they're trying to win hockey games, but at the same time, you're just making these baffling decisions that don't make any sense. You cannot tell me Rory Kerins was worse in the 2 games that he played than Sharangovich has been in any point this season. You just can't.
Yep. 100%. It's frustrating. Like I was saying to you before we started recording here, it feels like every decision Huska makes, he's doing it to piss off Flames fans. I think I've said it a few times this year. That's really what it feels like. Everything that we want the team to do, they're doing the complete opposite of right now. It's very frustrating.
It is very frustrating. The positive side to all of this sending down and call up news is Sam Morton, a guy a lot of people in preseason were talking about maybe taking that 4C job between him and Kirkland type of thing. How excited are you to see what Sam Morton has done the first few weeks of the season as he tries to become an NHLer has he worked with the Wranglers here? What do you make of the Sam Morton side of this call up?
I'm excited to see what he can do. I thought he was really good in the preseason. I thought he was right there to win a roster spot on the NHL team as the 4C or 13th forward. So based off of preseason expectations, what he did in game 82 against the Kings, he scored a goal. He looked really good in that game. He totally fit in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching him play. Hopefully at some point on this road trip here. At the same time, we can't treat Morton like he's a rookie or like he's a young player. He's 26 years old.
Yep.
He's the same age as like a Farabee or a Frost. So when analyzing Morton, I wouldn't say that I would consider him as a big piece of the future potentially because he is up there in age. But regardless, I am excited just to see some new blood in there, see somebody new other than Justin Kirkland or Connor Zary at 4C. Like Morton feels like more of a fourth line center than Zary does, and hopefully this moves Zary up the lineup as well. So yeah, it should be fun to see what he can do out there.
Yeah, I think this is a guy who can be as effective, if not more effective, than what Justin Kirkland brought to the Flames lineup. I mean, this is a guy that the Flames see as a depth piece down the line, which I really, really like as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he's progressed in his game. Like you mentioned, though, he's not a kid. This is a guy. He's 26. And he plays a nice solid hockey game, so we'll see how that affects the Flames lineup here. They go into Chicago on Tuesday, Buffalo on Wednesday, back to back. So a good chance we see all of these guys, including Hunt, in the mix on these games, depending how they go here. What do you expect from Zary and Sharangovich then, Robert, as they probably are getting back into the mix, probably getting slotted, one of them probably alongside Backlund and Coleman, probably one of them beside where Kerins was, beside Nazem Kadri. What do you make of these two getting opportunities? Because these two have left a lot to be desired, both of them for different reasons, a lot to be desired from Flame fans. There's been a lot of social media banter about them. A lot of conversations around the water cooler people's works about these two hockey players that just both of them really just have not been good enough. What do you make of the opportunity for these guys?
You know, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this. I think there's a difference between their two struggles. For me, Sharangovich, he looks completely lost out there. There's no battle level. There's no engagement. He's not shooting the puck. He's quite literally doing nothing out there. Whereas with Zary, I do feel like he's trying. I do feel like he's doing his best to try to create offense, but I mean, he's on a fourth line every single night, and for some reason, it's just not happening for him. It just looks like a good player who's in a slump right now, where Sharangovich is just a mess. I don't. Do you feel the same way about that?
Do you remember Ilya Kovalchuk?
I do. Great player.
Do you remember how he used to be such a lazy player, but then had this amazing finish in the final third? That's what Sharangovich feels like without that last third. He feels just like a player out there for a Sunday afternoon skate, warming up for a beer league game that he, filling in for a guy. He just, whatever. It is what it is, right? He doesn't feel like he's engaged in any way, shape, or form with the play. He does these big loops with the hockey puck. There's never straight lines with this guy. I don't want to call him a lazy, unmotivated player, but that's what he looks like to me right now. He looks like a guy who got his bag and he's just out there for a Sunday skate. And you just can't have that at any level of hockey, let alone the National Hockey League. So I don't know if he doesn't know what to do or where to go, or he doesn't think the game very well. But it's very frustrating to watch a guy who gets, they take the face off and he just stands straight up. Well, bend your knees, move your feet, do something, get yourself open, find the soft. He used to be able to find that soft spot in the offensive zone and rip that shot off, and that's how he got 30 plus goals. And we were all extremely excited to watch that player. That player's gone, and I don't know where he went. As for Connor Zary, it almost feels like, and I don't want to use the word scared, but it almost feels like he's scared to get injured again. And that's how he's playing. He wants to get in on the forecheck and he wants to dig in deep, but he's not sure, and he's very, very tentative in doing so. And so I think his struggles are more mental rather than physical, where maybe he's overthinking, trying not to get himself hurt again. And when you're out there actively thinking the game, you're not just doing and reacting. And I think that's affecting a lot of what he does. His feet are slower, his decision-making slower, his hands aren't reacting fast enough. And I wonder how much of that is hurting his confidence and just affecting his overall game. This guy, he needs a bounce. He needs to get a little bit lucky maybe first off before he turns the corner here. And I hate that Hanzik is injured, that this has to happen. I wonder if putting him beside Backlund and Coleman will be a way to get him to calm down and just play his game.
Yeah, I could totally see Zary going back on that line.
Yeah, and as for Sharangovich, you could put him with Crosby and Malkin, and I'm not sure if you're fixing that.
The interesting thing of Sharangovich is that when you go back and you look at the totality of his time in Calgary, he's really only had 3.5, 4 good months of hockey his entire time here. It was basically January 2024 to about April 2024, just like the second half of that 23-24 season. he turned it on. Like he scored, I think he scored like 20 goals. Like he was scoring at like a 38, 40 goal pace. He looked dynamic. The shot was incredible. He was scoring nice goals. He was making plays. He looked super confident. Outside of those 4 months, he has been terrible. His first 4 months with the Flames, remember when he was centering the fourth line?
Yeah.
Really bad. Literally all of last year, I know he scored 17 goals. All of last year, he was not good. And he's arguably been their worst forward to start this season. It's kind of baffling. The thing I think I would do with Sharangovich is, if I was part of the coaching staff, I would just sit him down and just say, look what Matt Coronado's just done. Coronado, he got off to a slow start. He was right there at the bottom of the point totals for the Calgary Flames, right down there with Sharangovich. Over the last 5-6 games here, he has completely turned his game around, and it all starts with just having that shooting mentality. Coronado, last I checked, he was second in the NHL in shots in the month of November. Sharangovich needs to take a page out of Coronado's playbook here and do the exact same thing. Shoot the damn puck. Shoot it, Sharangovich. This guy has got a lethal shot. He's got a great one-timer. He's got a really good wrist shot. Shoot the damn thing. Put yourself in a position to take shots. Hopefully the Flames will put him on a second or first unit power play here and let him unleash some of those bombs that we know that he can do. Shoot the puck, get engaged physically, throw some hits, win some battles. Like, step it up here, dude. He should be so much better than he is. It's very frustrating to watch. So hopefully over the next couple weeks here, he can find his game again, because he just signed a 5-year contract. He's in year 1 of a 5-year deal. Pays him $5.75 million. This is not a guy that you can just put in the press box every single night or buy out or trade. You're stuck with him. You need to help him figure it out. And hopefully that starts on this road trip here.
I'm not sure if you know, but care to venture how many shots he has in his 16 games played?
16?
It's 22 shots in 16 games for a guy guy who's a shooter, for a guy, and that's in 14 minutes of average ice time, by the way. For a guy who's supposed to be a shooter, a secondary goal scorer, a guy who shoots and scores 30 goals, that's very poor. That just means you're not engaged. It means you're not shooting. Your job is literally to put the puck on the net, and you can't even do that. I don't care if he's not a defensive stalwart. I don't care if he's not winning faceoffs. I don't care if he's not back checking the hardest. But the one thing that you got that $5+ million a year for was because you shot the puck and you scored, and you have a good shot. Why are you not using it? He's invisible even on a power play, and that's what the frustrating thing is. Because I'm going to talk about here in a second, that Flames power play is god awful, and you have a guy shooting 22 shots in 16 games who's supposed to be a focal point on one of those power play units, a guy who's supposed to be shooting the puck. At least with Connor Zary, you see some engagement here. You see him trying. It just, like I mentioned, I think it's a mental side of the game for him. With Sharangovich, he's invisible, and that's the most frustrating part about it, because we've seen the other side of it. Both of these guys have been part of the special teams units for the Flames on both sides of the puck. The Flames are coming into this next game against the Chicago Blackhawks, and I've just lost my page, with the league's worst power play and a bottom 10 penalty kill in the league. They are sitting at 23rd for the penalty kill. Why are the special teams struggling so much, Robert? Is it just simply the lack of skill?
Oh, man.
It's not pretty.
I've always wondered with penalty killing, is it how much, if you're to take like in terms of like a pie chart or something like that, how much is it in terms of effort and shot blocking and willingness to sacrifice, and how much of it comes down to strategy? Is it a 50-50 type of thing? Is it 75-25? Because I take a look at the strategy, and I feel like other teams in the NHL employ the same penalty kill that they do and have success. I'm almost wondering if it's just a personnel thing, whether it's not winning enough faceoffs, not blocking enough shots. I don't really like this diamond formation that they have. I think it opens up lots of space in the slot for players to get open and get shots off. And I also think, when you have only one guy at the top of your diamond, it also makes it more difficult to block shots too, rather than having two guys up high. I think it's easier to or it's more difficult for the opponents to get pucks to the net. So for me, I think it's almost like a mix of both on the penalty kill. Strategy just doesn't really seem to be there. The willingness to sacrifice and do whatever you can to block a shot and get pucks out just is not happening. And maybe that's a symptom of being 32nd in the NHL. As for the power play, I mean, you're like you said, it is a train wreck. It is so bad right now. I think that has more to do with a lack of talent. I just look around this power play unit right now, and who's dangerous on it? Who's a dangerous guy in their position? Huberdeau, he's not the same playmaker he once was. I know you listen to Calgary media and they say that he's an elite passer. He is not an elite passer anymore. He really isn't. So there's that. You don't have a legit power play quarterback, whether it's Rasmus Anderson or Mackenzie Weegar. Both guys are not getting the job done. There's no other dynamic playmakers. Frost, he makes fancy plays, but there's not a lot of substance there. Coronado, I don't know if his shot is conducive to a power play. Like, he's not a guy who rips one-timers. He's a guy that kind of walks down the wing and snaps it. I don't know if he's like a traditional stand and shoot type of player, like an Alex Ovechkin sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not good enough. It's really not. And I don't know what they can do. I'm not a power play expert. Do you put Sharangovich on the first unit and tell him just to shoot everything? Do you put Blake Coleman on the first unit because he's leading the team in goals right now? I don't know, man. I don't really have the answers, but it is not pretty.
Well, it's a good thing they're going on the road, Robert, because their road power play is 16.7% compared to the 6.5% home power play that they're currently sporting. 6.5 at home. I just looked up the split because I was interested. I didn't know the number after the weekend games. That's not good.
No, that's not good.
That's my hot take on that. That's not good. It's an average of 11.9% power play. Far and away by the worst one in the league. And the answer to it is, I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer. They don't have that guy that you're scared of on a power play. Kadri will shoot it, sure. Huberdeau will do one of passers shoot. He'll do anything. You like Coronado's shot, but how do you use him on a power play? Sharangovich just doesn't seem to want to shoot anymore, so you don't want to put him on a power play. Coleman and Backlund don't really seem like power play guys. Connor Zary's struggling. Frost can't seem to score. Farabee, like, you just go down the list, you're like, you don't have a guy that anyone is scared of. And you're using defensemen at the top of these power plays that aren't awful, but they aren't great at running a power play either. And so this has got to be a committee thing for the Flames. They've got to have a different mindset. I don't know if the structure of their power play necessarily needs to change, but it needs to be quicker. And that would be my biggest takeaway from what I've seen from the power play this year is they're very happy for putting the puck around the perimeter and then a hope shot comes along, where they're not working towards anything. It doesn't feel like there's an end game to how they're moving that puck around. Where I think if they move that puck quicker, one or two quick passes and get that puck on net and crash the net, they might be able to find a little bit more success. That's where I think you use guys like Klapka or Coleman in front of the net to maybe give a better front presence here. Get Sharangovich shooting. Try to get Coronado shooting more. Get Kadri to move around more. Anderson and Weegar can get the puck on net. They're not the hardest of shots, but try to use those. I think it really comes down to a mindset for the power play of the Flames. As for the penalty kill, like they're only 24th in penalty minutes against in this league, so there's not like they're getting a ton of penalty kill opportunities. And so when you have less penalty kill opportunities, it's easier to affect your percentage, of course. But I'm not sure if I know what you're saying there, Robert. I'm not sure either if it's a skill thing or a formation thing. I prefer the small box of a power play kill rather than the diamond myself, much like you, where I like the high guys. I like the guys forcing the play, making guys think quicker. And maybe it's just a thing of got to speed up the other team's penalty power plays a little bit more with your penalty kill. Make them think it quicker. Make them make decisions quicker than they actually want to, because a lot of teams are getting all the time in the world to set up their power plays in the Flame zone. And give credit to Dustin Wolf and Devin Cooley when they're in there. They're giving the team a fighting chance on these penalty kills, but at the end of the day, you have the worst power play and a bottom six penalty kill. It's absolutely disastrous and matches the record of the Flames. And I just don't know where the answers are because there's just not enough skill in this roster.
If we were to go back and listen to like our season preview episode and we were to list off, we were to list off all the things that needed to go right for this team, one of the big ones was special teams.
Yep.
They had, you know, I don't think it was realistic to think that they'd be like a top 10 power play, but I think they had to be in the teens. And I think the penalty kill needed to be in the top 10 if they wanted to be successful. And both are not even close to either of those marks right now. And I think it's a major reason why they're losing so many games.
Yeah, it's a direct correlation, right? It has to be. Like, you're not scoring, you're allowing too many goals, you're just shooting everything from the outside. There's nothing on the inside. It's not a good mixture if you're trying to be a successful hockey club. It just really, really isn't.
The wild thing about this Flames team, though, is that you take a look at the goaltending, and you know, outside of the first 4 games of the year, you know, it's been really good. Devin Cooley has stepped up in his limited action, literally has the best goals against and save percentage in the entire NHL, which is crazy. And after that Vegas shellacking in mid-October, since October 19th, Dustin Wolf has been a top 10 goalie in the NHL. So you're getting goaltending, and then you take a look at some of the defensive metrics for this team since that Vegas game, and they're one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the NHL. You take a look at the shot attempts, and I know it doesn't say everything, but they're second in the league in Corsi for percentage. They've outscored their opposition 25-19 at 5-on-5. They have one of the best scoring chance percentages, one of the best high danger, expected goals percentages. All the underlying numbers indicate that they're not playing bad defense right now. They're getting good goaltending. It's just historically bad offense. Historically bad scoring output from these players. And over the weekend, I put out a tweet showing the 82 game point pace for the Calgary Flames right now. They don't have a single guy who's on pace for 50 points. Not one. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
That's crazy.
Huberdeau's at 49, so they're only one away, but still, I mean, that's a joke. And like you go down the line here, Nazem Kadri, 45, he's on pace for 45 points this year. Joel Farabee on pace for 29. Sharangovich on pace for 20. Connor Zary on pace for 10 points this year. You know, Mackenzie Weegar hasn't scored a goal. It's just you could make an argument that they're actually playing half decent hockey right now. It's just the special teams and the goal scoring are destroying this season. And obviously, if your team bottom out, you want that to happen, like I do. At the same time, though, it's led to boring hockey, and it's not very exciting to watch. And I just find it interesting that how a team can be so far down the standings yet still have good goaltending and still be playing good defense, and yet they're still down there. Like that's just how bad the offense has been this year.
You tweeted those numbers out on Sunday morning, and as you saw my reply, where it's like, wow, I was going to have a nice Sunday morning, and then Robert chose violence. And you saw those numbers that you put out there of people that are on pace for what point percentage, and it just makes you hang your head. You're just like, that is so depressing, because they are playing good defense. Like, they're allowing 3 goals a game against. That's 15th. That's dead center. That's average in the National Hockey League this season. So they're getting the average in terms of giving up goals. They're allowing the 20th most shots on average a game. That's not bad. Like you're limiting shots. You're for the most part, you're limiting goals against. You're getting the goaltending here. The issue is, like you said, Robert, they're only scoring 2.1 goals a game, which is awful. And the shooting percentage, this will make you vomit, so get your bag and your buckets ready. Their shooting percentage is a staggering 7% as a team.
What's the next closest team?
Do
you have that?
I don't have that in front of me, but I could look it up. It's just staggeringly low for me. Last year, the Flames were closer to it was 13.5. If I remember correctly, last year in shooting percentage as a team. So it's almost half of last year's production.
That's crazy.
It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough.
So, you know, some people would say, oh, that's bad luck. Would you say it's bad luck, or would you just say, like, for the way I view it is they're taking a million shots from everywhere, and they're not making it overly difficult on opposing goaltenders, and they're not generating enough high quality chances. So I think that's why the shooting percentage is where it is. I honestly don't think it has anything to do with bad luck right now.
When you take that many shots, like your shooting percentage is going to go down, but you're choosing to put everything towards the net. You're choosing to have 32 shots from the outside. You're choosing not to get into the high danger opportunities. I just it's to say it's bad luck for me is making an excuse. And I don't want to make an excuse for this team because that's just not how it is. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm just looking that up.
So like the one thing though that I kind of will say about this is, so Ryan Huska has essentially adopted the Daryl Sutter style of hockey in the offensive zone, which is shoot from everywhere, get traffic in front, bang home rebounds, all that kind of stuff. And under Daryl Sutter, it worked because if you take a look at those Los Angeles King teams, they were stacked. You take a look at the 2021-22 Calgary Flames, they were stacked. And because he had the high-end talent, those high-end players could still go out and make plays while still playing the Daryl Sutter style of hockey. What he has right now in terms of Ryan Huska, what he has right now on the Calgary Flames roster is arguably the team with the least amount of talent in the NHL. So you're asking the least talented team in the NHL to go out there and shoot from everywhere and rely on shots beating goaltenders, but like the team isn't talented enough to do it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. If you're going to play that style of hockey, you still need like some elite talent to go out there and make plays. The Calgary Flames just don't have that right now. Like you look at that 21-22 season, the Gaudreau, Lindholm, Tkachuk line went out there. They were a shot volume line, don't get me wrong, but they could also make plays and they could also score goals on incredible passing plays. And it's one of the reasons why they were able to score so many goals that season, because the rest of the team would play that kind of slog system. And right now, this Calgary Flames team, they don't have obviously anything close to the Gaudreau, Tkachuk, Lindholm line. All four lines are just throwing pucks at the net, hoping and praying they hit a skate or hit a butt and go in. And it's just the style is not working for this type of team. I think this type of team should probably take anywhere from 5 to 12 less shots a game and focus more on quality rather than just pure quantity, because it's just the way they're playing right now is conducive to them scoring 0, 1, or 2 goals a game. This whole system of throwing it at the net and hoping and praying you get lucky, it's not going to get you 3, 4, 5 goals a game. It's just not.
Yeah, that's well put by you. To go back to the shooting percentage, Robert, Calgary's got 7%. The next closest to them is the awful Nashville Predators. They're shooting at 8.9%, and the Rangers are 9.1%. So you're almost a full 2% back of the next closest.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So and I don't say that to say that that's the reason why they aren't winning hockey games or they're not being successful, but you're 2% behind the next closest team, and this volume shot thing is not helping your game. I'd have to go look all this up, but you go look at the high dangers that this team gives up and they have for them. That also correlates into it. I know that's a wide gap last time I looked. Like this shooting from the outside mentality was really, really good for the hockey back in the 90s or the early 2000s. That worked because there was a lot of crash and bang hockey back then. This is a more finesse game now. This is a game based on skill. This is a game based on, can you get to the hard areas? Can you skate? That kind of thing. Those are what makes you successful hockey clubs. The Florida Panthers won the last 2 Stanley Cups. They're not a shot volume team. They're get the puck to the net and let's go crash and bang type of team. So they play that type of style. And these teams that are successful nowadays aren't just going, we need to get 40 shots tonight. That's the mantra. You got to be more selective in your shots here to be a successful hockey club. The Flames just don't have the talent to shoot from the outside and be successful. They don't have these guys who can score from 30, 40 feet out. They just don't have them. Even on the blue line, these defensemen they don't score from the point. We say that coming off a game where both Bean and Ball scored, but both those were deflective goals off the opposition that went in the net. So you're not scoring pretty goals. You're not getting the success here. It's not working. It's much like banging your head against the wall. It's not going to go anywhere. And that's just how the Flames need to win here. They need to get to the net here, and they need to find a way of doing so to take advantage of these shot opportunities, to take advantage of these slot opportunities. Rarely have I come from a hockey game this year and the Flames were the better team in the danger areas, in the slot, the high dangers. They're rarely, if ever, the leader in that category, and that's just not good. You just can't win hockey games if you're not a dangerous team in the middle.
Right. And like you take a look at natural stat trick. There, in terms of overall high danger shot attempts this year, the Flames actually rank 13th, which isn't terrible, but
It's higher than I thought.
But here's the difference, though, is a ton of these are getting blocked. A ton of these are missing the net. A lot of them are coming off the sticks of players who don't have dangerous shots. So, you know, we're seeing that they are getting some attempts around the net and within the slot area, but they're still not dangerous enough. There's no passing plays. Like I bet you a lot of those shots are just off of rebounds. I bet you a lot of them are like I said, blocked. I bet you a lot of them miss the net. They in my opinion, they really need to focus on a little bit more creativity, a little bit more puck movement, because like you said, the NHL today it's a skill game. You can't just muck and grind like you did in the 1990s to get to wins. It's just not how the game works anymore. And honestly, from an entertainment standpoint, I think the Flames fans would love to see that, because this year has not been very fun to watch. You can still be a bad team. You can still kind of bottom out, but you can still play pretty entertaining hockey. You can still put on a bit of a show for your fans, and they're not doing that this year. I would rather see this team lose 5-4 and 6-5, like those types of scores, run up the score a little bit, trade chances, have some fun. But instead, we're watching dull, boring, low event hockey, because that's how Ryan Huska thinks that they need to win games, and he's still in win games mode. So at some point this year, it would be fantastic to see this team kind of, you know, unleash their forwards a little bit, unleash the creativity, and stop hampering it so much.
Yeah, I don't know a single Flame fan out there that was excited about that Flyers game back on the 2nd where they won 2-1, or that wild loss of 2-0 a week ago, or that 2-0, even that 2-0 win versus San Jose. Like it was a fine hockey game from the Flames, but you know, whatever. And then you go to that game against the Jets where they lose in the shootout there. Like it's not exciting hockey. They got a little bit of puck luck on some of those goals. You know, you have ugly results here. You're just trying to slug the game down, and it feels so hard and so forced a lot of times with this team. And then they get the power play, and it's a waste of 2 minutes. I put it on Twitter the other day, and it's just like that's a hard way to watch your team play night in and night out, where everything is just so hard. Everything feels like it's going through molasses. You get a power play and you're just not excited for the power play. Where you put that on the flip side, how excited are Pittsburgh fans when they see Crosby, Melk, and Letang go up for a power play? Or Sharks fans with Celebrini and Will Smith and those guys going up for power play? It's excitement to the building. And so when you don't have success as a team, and then your special teams are just dragging that down even further, it doesn't make for a fun product, and your fans aren't excited to watch these guys play. They're not excited to support this team, and then it just no one has any fun, and then it weighs on these players because they're not having any fun either. It's a hard way to play hockey, and nobody wins here. So I'm with you, Robert. I like to see them open it up, find a way to open up the ice a little bit. You got guys on this team that have certain skill sets. Put them in a spot to succeed. Stop putting Sharangovich at 4C. Stop putting Connor Zary at 4C. Stop trying to pigeonhole people in the places they don't belong, and put them in places to succeed and open it up a little bit more. I'd like to see the defense activate more smartly, of course, and just create more from the blue line as well. Like if you give up a 2-1 the other way, so be it. But at least you're trying to produce offense. At least you're trying to have a more exciting product, and allowing these hockey players to maybe even have a little bit more fun around the rink, and maybe that'll allow them to have a little bit more success here. Anything else on the power play penalty kill before we move on here, Robert, that you wanted to bring up?
No, I mean we're talking about what we want to see for the rest of the season. I know it's kind of a little bit off topic, but I just want to throw it your way here. What do you expect to see from this team for the rest of the season? How do you see the rest of this year kind of playing out?
The exact same thing we're seeing right now.
You don't think they're going to be able to turn around goal scoring or special teams? You think they're going to be able to keep up this kind of level of defense?
Who's doing it? That's my question. Is where is that skill that they're lacking coming from? Like, I know we're excited about Mate Gridden, what he can bring. I know we're excited about potential what Rory Kerins can bring. I know we're excited to see what maybe a Rasmus Andersson trade does to this roster. But I just don't see the skill this year that's going to change that fact unless Ryan Huska loosens up the leash a little bit on these players, loosens up his structure a little bit to allow these players that freedom to play. I think defensively they can still play at a strong level because you have a great goaltending duo. You have good defensemen back there. Uyghur's playing a lot better as of late. I think Ball's been pretty good over the course of the season. We've seen guys settle down in their roles because Kuznetsov's been pretty good. Even Bean's been okay as of late as well. But offensively, like I just don't know where it's all going to come from, and they might get that power play up to double digits eventually down the line here with a nice little run. But overall, I don't expect a whole lot different than what we're seeing right now because I just don't see, for lack of a better term, a savior type of player coming in here and making it happen.
And yeah, another thing too is, hopefully we're going to see this team make some trades and move out some veterans. What does the team look like then? Some people would argue that the team actually might get better if you end up throwing some younger players in the lineup. For example, say you replace a Sharangovich with a Gridden or a Gridden with Joel Farabee or something like that. There's potential for more offense there, which is pretty wild to say. So the thing though that's really gonna hurt them is they're going to trade Rasmus at some point, hopefully sooner than later. And once Anderson's gone, the D-core is going to be probably the worst in the NHL. It's going to be very weak, little to no depth. And it's going to be young too, because you'll get Zane Parekh back at some point. You'll probably throw in a Brustevich at some point. So with all that in mind, I do see the team actually getting a little bit better here. I don't think they're going to finish in dead last because of the way they're playing defense, because of their 5-on-5 game.
Or is it because the Sabres suck that much?
The Sabres might suck that much. I also see teams like the Predators just being awful. And like I can't see a full season where you don't have one guy who's on pace for 50 points. Like, why can't Huberdeau be a 60-point guy? Why can't Kadri get back to being a 30-goal, 60-point guy? Coronado looks like he's really starting to turn it on here. Could he get up to 25, 30 goals? Can Zary bounce back? Like I see a lot of those things happening, which is going to take them out of the very bottom of the NHL, and they have really good goaltending. So I just for the rest of the season here, I actually do think they'll probably be like right around 500, if not a little bit below 500. That's kind of my guess between now and the end of the year. In the final 62 games here, I bet you they'll end up with around 30 to 35 points sort of thing. That's kind of how I see things playing out here. Honestly, I hope I'm wrong, because I would love to see this team bottom out and get that top draft pick.
I was going to say, I love your optimism. I really, really do. I wish I could share it because we're 20 games in and everyone talks about 20 to 25 games, and that Thanksgiving week as almost like a deadline for a lot of people's make-believe stats they like to throw out there. That's kind of old school thinking for me. This team is what it is, I think, at this point. They might get a little bit better of a shooting percentage down and a nice run that might bring them up a little closer to 500. But this is right now, as it's on paper, this is a bottom 5 NHL team. This is a team that's not scoring very much. They're having an awful power play like we talked about. Their penalty kill isn't very good like we talked about. There's no one coming back. They've been relatively healthy outside of a Parekh and a Honzik injury. They've been really healthy. So what happens if they get one injury down the line as well? Like you would hope that the regression to the norm for not a regression, a return to the norm for a Zary and a Sharangovich happens. You hope that Frost and Farabee can maybe find a little something that when they bring up a Gridden or whoever else it might be, maybe a Stromgren, that they can add in offensively here. But I just don't see it, unfortunately, and I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, the naysayer, but until I see it, it's hard to say this team is anything other than what they've shown us on paper through 20 games here, and that's not a very fun place to be.
No, but like we said, it's best for the long-term future of the team.
100%.
So there's nothing wrong with that. But
just play the kids and make it exciting for us to watch them. I think that's the ask for a lot of Flame fans now. Play the younger players like the Kerins. Stop bringing up the Hunts and such. and let us see these, make it exciting for us to watch these games. Open up your playbook, open up your style, and allow these guys to have that offensive spark that we've been talking about here, Robert, and give us something to watch and be excited about for this team, because to watch 62 more games of a slog fest, it's going to wear on people.
Yeah, fans are going to start tuning out this team if they continue to play boring hockey. And I also kind of wonder like what the mindset of the players is going to be, because
yeah, good point.
By all accounts, this is like a very difficult style of play for the players. They have to block a million shots. They have to skate a ton. Like you take a look at some of the skating data. The Calgary Flames last year skated the second most miles in the NHL, and I think it's because of their system. Mainly in the offensive zone where they're just on the boards and they're cycling and they're constantly moving. They're always constantly skating. They're having to work so hard to win games 2-1 and 3-2. And when you're not winning those games, I wonder if the players are like, man, like I can't keep doing this for another 60 games when we're not winning hockey games and we're not pushing for the playoffs. Is it worth me beating the absolute hell out of my body for us to finish in 32nd, 31st, or 30th this season? I wonder if there might come a point in time here where the leadership group is like, coach, we can't keep playing this style of game when we're this far out of the playoff mix.
Mm-hmm. And there'll come that culture word again, and the leadership group again. Like even those guys will get tired of it, right? And
I think so.
And I know that those guys are going to be good soldiers. I know guys like Kadri are professionals and are going to show up and they're going to give their all because that's who they are. As leaders of this hockey team, has prideful veterans of their game. But at a certain point, like you said, Robert, it's just going to become too much for these guys to play the same thing night in, night out and not get results from it. It's going to wear on everybody. It's going to make it boring for the players. They're going to not want to do it. They're going to quit on the coach. We're going to have to reset the coach. The fans aren't going to like, and it's just a snowball effect. So I really hope that they take a little bit of the playbook of, let's open it up a little bit. Let's bring up some kids who are going to try really hard for us. Move on from a couple of veterans here to open up opportunities for these guys and give the fans a little something. I think fans will really take to seeing Matvei Gridin back up and playing on a line. A healthy Honzik back, a healthy Perek back, maybe a Rustevich in there. Watching Dustin Wolf make some really good saves on the back end. I think fans will show up for that. Even if the results aren't always there, you can still see how exciting it can be because you see what the future holds. I use the San Jose example a lot for that reason, and I know they were a dud in Calgary last week, and that disappointed me a lot. But you watch that team on a whole, and they're fun to watch. They're not getting all the results in the world, but they're fun to watch, and the fans see the end result or the end game coming with those players as they progress in their careers. I think that's what Flame fans on the whole are looking for. I don't know of any fan out there going, let's go get a couple veterans and make this playoff push here, because I don't think anybody wants that because it's the same old. I think they want this. I think they want to see some young, exciting hockey players, and I hope they kind of go that direction here.
It almost reminds me of the 2013-14 season, the year after they traded Jarome Iginla.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, if my memory serves me right, I remember the first 2 to 3 months of that season being really tough to watch, like really dull, boring, just bad hockey. They were losing a ton, but then they had the brawl against the Canucks, and it almost felt like that kind of reinvigorated their season, and they started to play a more up-tempo brand of hockey. I remember Bob Hartley, he loved his stretch passes for his defensemen to hit his forwards in stride,
mm-hmm.
in right around the blue line there. They actually started to play more fun hockey when they were completely out of it. I wonder if something similar might happen this year. You would hope a guy like Craig Conroy or Don Maloney or even like the president of the team, Robert Hayes, they have to be watching this style of hockey while the team's in 32nd place and think to themselves, our fans can't be enjoying this. This is like we keep saying, this is a slog. This is tough to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Could there come a point this season, whether it's around Christmas or January, where Conroy goes to Husk and says, let's start to play a little bit more fun brand of hockey here. The season is completely over. It's a wash. Why don't we open things up a little bit? Give our fans a little bit of reward. Give our players a bit of a reward to loosen up a little bit. And just start to play some fun hockey. I wonder if something like that could happen. Because if it doesn't, and they keep playing this style, I guarantee you, fans like the TV ratings are going to drop. Podcast downloads are going to drop. Social media engagements for the Flames are going to drop. People are going to start to tune this team out because, number one, they're losing a ton, but number two, they're boring as hell. And if you want to keep your fans engaged, you got to put young players in the lineup, and you got to play a little more exciting brand of hockey. Put on a show for your fans. But do the Flames care about that? Does a guy like Ryan Huska care about that? Probably not, but one can hope and one can dream, right?
This is where I really hope that Craig Conroy can manage up and just be like, no, Don, we can't do it this way. Murray, we all due respect, this can't happen because it's going to hurt the bottom line. It's not going to help your bottom line. So hopefully business-wise, they see what they're doing to their product, and then I hope the on-ice product can reflect the changes that we're going to see here. I much rather shell out the $200 for a mid-bowl seat in the new arena to see a bunch of kids play than to shell out that same money to watch a 39-year-old Backlund playing second-line center, and whoever else veterans they've signed to try to make the playoff run that year. Much rather watch the team that's young and exciting and up and coming. And I think I'm not alone in that thinking here for the Flames. So it'll be interesting to see the approach this year as it goes on for Craig Conroy and for Ryan Huska. I hope we can start to see the Flames play better hockey. I hope the results stay similar so that this message is sent to that management group that, hey, it's time to turn the page here. And at the end of the day, I hope the fans get what the fans want. And that's a hockey team that they're pride. I don't know anyone right now who's prideful to talk about this team right now. Like we came on the podcast joking how we're going to come on here to complain for an hour. Like, that's kind of the sentiment around top Flame fans. They want something exciting to watch, to talk about, to brag about. And I think a guy like Gavin McKenna or a Keaton Verhoff will be just that. You get one of those guys in the draft lottery, this Flame fan base will be buzzing talking about that kid and about how Perret can be the next guy. Dustin Wolf's really fun to watch. We still Coronado's a really good goal. Like, Flame fans will get excited for that kind of thing. I don't know anybody who's going to be like, all right, who's ready for the 38-year-old season of Michael Backlund? Let's go. And it's not any disrespect to those players, but it's just not an exciting topic.
No, it's not. It's really not.
We talked about a lot on the show today, Robert. Anything else that we've missed that you wanted to bring up here on the show, or are we ready to tell the fans here where they can find us and what's coming up from you on Flames Nation?
No, lots of good discussion today. Lots of different topics, which is awesome. I know. So I got an article coming out. Actually, it should be already out. It's about just the fact that Craig Conroy doesn't have a contract extension. We talked a little bit about that last week, but I think maybe next week or the week after, we should kind of dive into, what we think the future of management is in this city. I think it could be a pretty interesting discussion because I really wonder about what the future of Don Maloney is and the future of Craig Conroy is because, Conroy doesn't have a contract for next year. He's a lame duck GM right now, which is super interesting. So head on over to flamesnation.ca, read that article, and it might be a topic in the future we can dive into.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions too. With Dave Nonis, what happens with him? What do you do with your drafting staff, scouting staff? That's what they're called. A lot of questions for the front office of the Flames. I like that. You can find him, Ring of Fire CGY, across social media. I'm Vintage Johnny 84 as well. And of course, as always, the show, Red Mile Rundown, wherever you do your social media. Again, thank you so much for downloading and listening to the podcast. Tell your friends, help us to grow and continue to hit those 5-star ratings and reviews on your social media platforms. If you're unaware, we are also on Amazon Podcasts, if that's your thing. So if you've been missing out because we were on there. Well, we're on there. Go ahead and listen, download, and subscribe to that as well. We will see you next week. Enjoy the road trip. A couple of great hockey teams coming up this week for the Flames to play against. Maybe get some W's. We'll see what happens in Buffalo and Chicago. See you next week here on the podcast, Red Mile Rundown.